Quick, everyone act surprised. Go.
Let the lesson begin.
What's up guys, Akariss here, bringing you another Fire Emblem Heroes video. Today's video is my reaction impressions on the brand new, very surprising, we didn't know what was coming, Halloween banner featuring dragons. And a Tempest Trials unit that is a half dragon, as probably an excuse for them not to actually give us a real dragon. However, at least the unit itself is a blue tone flyer, which is completely like free, like it's unique. It's not another green axe infantry, so I'm glad for that. And the inheritable will be pretty good. But I'll cover Sophia and her in a later video, probably today if I can get it done. And of course, I will also be asking you guys to participate in the Patreon and YouTube polls, which should already be up on whether you're going to be polling on this banner. And I will be, of course, covering the Should You Poll video with likely the duo hero, which is Sothis. And yeah, what you guys think. So feel free to participate in that. With that being said though, thank you as always for watching and participating. Let's go and figure out what exactly is going on with this banner and if it really means anything to the hero's metagame, or if it's interesting enough or an auto skip from first impressions. Alright, before we begin, as always, smash the like button, sub if you haven't already, and let's go. Halloween dragons, so this is gonna be a theme, I guess, if we are also following the other random themes like ninjas and pirates and dancers and whatnot. Halloween dragons.
Help me recover the rest of my memories.
I mean, it fits.
And I'll consider tossing a
Totally
piece of
fits.
candy your way.
Grima is a colorless armored dragon, which isn't actually too common, so that at least is a solid place to be. He does come with the brand new AR near save. I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel like both AD and DR near saves are better, because most of the physical stuff that hits you from melee range tends to be physical damage, and the only thing that hits you from res is basically dragons. So I'm not totally convinced on this near save. I don't think it's that important or good. He does come with Slick Fighter, which is fairly rare-ish, so that's good. And his weapon is it's pretty good. It synergizes actually pretty well with Noontime. So it's a Slaying Breath, which isn't totally common either. And as long as he's within 2 spaces of an ally, easy condition to meet, he gets extra attack, enemy gets minus attack, and when his special triggers, he gets extra healing. So obviously if you combine that with Noontime, it's basically like last year's Fallen Grima, Halloween Grima's weapon. You probably don't want to use Noontime. You probably want to use something like Moonbow or Glimmer. That's going to be better. And maybe even something like Blue Flame with like Special Fighter or like a Breath. Like there's a lot of ways to go about this. But I don't think he's totally going to be bad in a way. So, you know, if Fallen Shield Seal happens, a lot of these like random armors and dragons will just become a lot better.
Surprise.
So I wouldn't put that as like a total impossibility. It could very well happen.
I'm dressed as a witch. Would you like me to cast a spell on you?
Okay, so next up is Rhea as a green infantry dragon. Cool. Comes with Unity, and I believe this was only a Winter Altina before, so it's actually a pretty solid Unity in the... Maybe, if you're like looking to spend orbs. I wouldn't recommend spending orbs, just like to tell you guys on a seasonal banner. It's basically like second worst type of banner you want to summon on like these ones, honestly. So it's not really worth targeting it, but if you really need this Unity skill or Dragon Wall, then at least that is there. Dragon Wall is in the perma pool though, and we could likely see Unity skills in the perma pool in a few months or whatnot. So again, cool that this is here, but I wouldn't like fixate your orbs on that. Alright, so she has a weapon called Witch Breaths, and it has 2 different conditions, but both of them are basically pretty easy to meet, which is essentially one condition on the foe being over 50% and the other one with her being over 50%. If both those conditions are met, they're basically just working on stopping their double or giving herself a double. Very similar to Ciro's. I wonder why. But the condition is fairly easy to meet. It is dual phase. You either give yourself extra attack or debuff enemy attack and don't allow them to follow up. It's a pretty solid weapon, all things considered. If I'm gonna be guessing, I probably would expect that her stat spread would be similar to what Cyros is, but as a green infantry as opposed to blue.
Be afraid.
Yeah, that dragon seems pretty similar. Wonder why. Alright.
The confections of this world come in so many
So
wondrous
red
colors.
infantry dragon, I believe he's the 4-star focus. Based on the skill set, I'm pretty sure he's the 4-star focus. So he does come with even pulse tie. That is a solid piece of fodder. If you've already picked that up from manuals in manual 2, and you probably should, if Legendary Sigurd is giving you a hard time, this is a solid answer to him. Combining safe defense with even pulse tie, you are going to have an answer to Legendary Sigurd's pre-charge specials, so that's one way to do it. If you don't have that for whatever reason, then this might be worth picking up to at least have an answer to that. Anyways, Inheritable Breath, it's basically enemy phase condition or enemy has over 75% HP. Give extra attack to the unit and debuff the foe by -5 attack. Now what is interesting is this is a guard breath, so I don't even think there is anything like that in the game. Off the top of my head, there probably is. I think like Grima, like Legendary Grima might have a guard breath, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. This is a solid inheritable breath that you probably want to give to some of the other really good dragons with no inheritable, such as Enna from last year actually. Although it doesn't make much sense to kill Kurthnaga to Enna, but sorry, that's just how it's got to be. Solid inheritable at the end of the day. Funny that both Digensia and and Enna are on the map. But anyways, stat spread is to be expected. So it feels like just basically an upgrade to what Enna had last year with maybe a little bit less speed, more bulk, and more attack. Nothing too fancy. No, in my opinion, with 4-star focus seasonals, I'd never recommend like going hard on orbs here. Like Gacha could definitely make you waste quite a bit. Even if he likely scores 185, I still don't think that's worth it.
This attire is.
Okay, so we have hopefully a better version of Sothis, a blue dragon flyer. Similar to like Dual Tiki, I guess, or Harmonized Tiki. Comes with a brand new dragon skill, which is actually pretty solid if you ask me. So it has an enemy attacking into you condition, has a flat 20% damage reduction on the first attack, which again is still pretty good. And if their attack, as in Sothis, Dual Sothis attack, is higher than the enemy's res, you deal 20% of that difference. So that's pretty good. That should be true damage, so this is a very solid B skill. I don't know whether it necessarily is better than Dragon's Ire or Dragon's Wall, but it does seem pretty good on first impression. Finally, the preference weapon is a slaying, which is good. No dragon weakness, which is really good. So of course, if you combine that with something like IO Shield, this is essentially a res hitting blue melee flyer, which is really nice. So I do like this weapon already quite a bit. It also has distant counter on it. Again, more points for a solid weapon. And finally, with a pretty easy condition, on enemy hitting you or 75% HP, 5 to all stats. That is a good weapon. Synergizes with the preference special Sirius. Sirius has healing on it. Good B skill. This is actually a pretty good unit out of the box. Like as a one-off, I could see this working pretty well because you can nullify most weaknesses. You have a good weapon, good preference special with healing, and honestly a pretty solid base kit just for like tanking on enemy phase. So as one-offs come, like this is actually pretty solid as a carry unit. And also being blue is nice. I'd say the one weakness of something here like Sothis is likely to be just not nullifying penalties. That feels like the big weakness here. Also, the dual skill is null follow-up, which is based on a speed condition. And since flyers don't innately have that, like they don't have null follow-up, if you can actually use the dual skill effectively, something like Arena or possibly AR, if you can somehow snipe the duo heroes or dual hindrance, maybe something like Layla to set that up, then Sothis actually, in my opinion, becomes one of the better one-offs or carry units that you could use. In fact, the funny thing I've said all this time is like Sothis is terrible as a defense unit, But if she was able to be used on offense, then she would actually be pretty good. And I guess this is the clear example of that. Stat spread is offense oriented, with attack and speed being pretty high. Defense and res is basically just catching up in BST. Access to the attack speed range skill, and probably solos stances would be best in A, with a pretty decent amount of B skill options between Wrath, Ire, and Dragon Wall. Solid hero, honestly, one off. I still, at the end of the day, wouldn't recommend spending orbs, but this is pretty good, at least if you're like a newer player and you want like a good carry. Like, that is a pretty good option. Hitting res is also, of course, really good, since most characters, most units do favor defense over res, and on defense this happens to be the case. Like, for example, hitting Legendary Sigurd's res is going to be way more favorable than hitting his defense. And of course, having Sirius as healing is nice, scaling off of speed, which does open up the seal to be used on something like Io's shield or just something else in general. Overall, I'd say this banner is like interesting. Not necessarily worth orbs, but for you guys who are like chasing favorites or more newer player looking for like a newer unit or just maybe returning, then there are definitely some considerations here. Some decent fodder to throw around, particularly Kurthnaga's Breath, I think, for dragon users. And finally, as you can see here, we have Sophia being the freebie as a blue tome flyer, as a way of like saying, oh, she's a half dragon, but you're not going to get a free dragon. Interesting. But I do know that the tome is also similar to what Kurthnaga has, so that's going to be a decent tome to inherit, and I'm interested in covering her soon. So that might be today if I can get that video done. Otherwise, yeah, that's it, guys. As I reminded you, hopefully in the beginning of the video, go check out my YouTube community page to vote for what you plan to do on this. Comment with your reasoning, and you likely could be featured in the upcoming video. If you like this content and you really want to keep see it coming for what we do, Patreon is in the description below. Thank you guys that do consider that. Alright guys, that's it from me. See you soon. Much love. Smash like button, sub if you haven't already. See you in the next one. Peace.
It's over.